So then, now we come to the next chapter in this course. And in this chapter, I'd like to talk about points of relation. And this is something that can help in so many ways. This can really change the whole relationship that you have with time. Here's how it works. You have two things to work with in this point of relation technique. Number one is the measurement of time. And number two is the feeling that you have. And the way you do this is really, you just do it like it's not a technique. This isn't really a technique that you practice. This is really just something that once you know the idea, you can just do it. So that's really good if you don't have time to practice like long forms of meditation or certain techniques that require too much effort. This is actually a very easy one to do. But how this works is you have a point of perception. You have a point of measurement, right? And what you want to do is you want to set up this thing where every time you perceive or you measure time, you use that as a trigger. And what it triggers you to do is to assess how you feel. So, in an ideal world, what we would have is a servant that follows you around, and anytime you measure time or you assess time, the servant would ring the bell and say, "Dear master, you are assessing time. How do you feel?" Or they would say something like that, right? They would say, "Notice how you're feeling. Notice what you're feeling." And they would ring the bell and would say, "How do you feel?" That's really all you need to say. How do I feel right now? How do I feel right now? That's the core thing. Now, to give you some examples as a list of points of time perception. Number one, when you look at a clock. Number two, when you look at the date. When you say, "What date is it today?" Number three, when you look at what day of the week it is. Number four, when you say, "How much time is left in the year?" How long is it till Christmas? Have you heard that phrase before? Number five, how long it has been since an event has occurred. How long has it been since you saw your mother? How long has it been since you went out and had a bushwalk? How long has it been since you worked on a particular program or project? How long has it been since a particular significant life event? How long has it been since that person died? How long has it been since that person got married or you yourself got married? How long has it been since you saw that significant person, since you spoke with someone who is a close friend? Now, that's just the beginning of the list, right? The list goes on and on and on. How long is it until, another big one I should mention is, how long is it until a certain event, right? So you can say, how long is it since a significant event, or you can say, how long is it until a certain event, a deadline, something you're looking forward to. How long is it until the vacation, right? That's a common one. How long is it until you can go on holidays? Or how about this one? How long is it until work is finished? How long is it until I've finished my work and I can go home? Right? All of these examples are points of time perception. And of course, this is not an exhaustive list. This is just the tip of the iceberg. Anytime you have a moment where you're thinking, how long has it been? What time is it? How long will it be? You are perceiving time. You are sensing time. You're assessing time. You're measuring time. Now, all of these moments need to be the trigger, right? Whenever you have one of these moments, you need to have the servant sitting on your shoulder, ringing the bell, and they say, "Master, how do you feel? Master, what are you feeling right now?" At the very point, the very moment you look at the clock, the very moment you realize what the date today is. Like, do you realize what the date today is? You realize what day it is. Now, in that is a feeling. In that is a sensation of the connection, of the sense of, right, something going on there. Now, let me give you a list of examples, which of course is not exhaustive as to what your reaction might be. Now, of course, there's broad ones and there's more specific ones, but let's brainstorm some of these together. First of all, I'm running out of time. Second of all, it has been a long time. Third of all, I'm feeling impatient. Number 5, fifth example, or fourth or fifth example, I forget which number I'm up to. I'm feeling stressed. I'm feeling like there's pressure, right? Stress and pressure is another one. If you have a deadline coming up, then that's another feeling towards the measurement of time. I'm longing. I'm desiring something, right? I want something to occur. That's another feeling. I'm feeling sad that something has passed. I'm feeling a little bit melancholy about a distant event. I'm feeling like there's not enough time. I'm feeling like I need more time, right? This isn't always the case. It might feel like you have plenty of time, right? You can have this feeling. And I mean, this is really one of the deeper points that we're actually trying to get to. This is one of the things that you realize once you do this process and you're actually aware of these things. You want to feel like you have an abundance of time. You have this feeling of how much time you have to go, but also you don't want to let that fall into apathy, right? You don't want to let that turn into a kind of laziness. So those are a few reactions. Those are a few things that you will be feeling or thinking when you have that point of measuring time. Now, of course, you can't use that list as your gauge of assessment. You have to be able to look at your feelings and say, okay, this is how I'm feeling. This is the right word for it. And this is true to me right now, right? You need to know your feelings. You need to assess your feelings. And you'll get better at this as you practice this. This is one of the great things because you're always assessing what time it is. You might do this 3 times, 4 times, 5 times a day. So 5 times a day, you have this little man pop up on your shoulder and ring the bell and say, "Master, how are you feeling?" Now, when you do this, you will notice certain things. You will notice your general reaction. You might say, well, I'm always stressed. I'm always worried about the deadline. I'm always worried about running out of time. Or you'll feel, okay, I'm worried that things are taking too long. Things won't happen. I want things to change. I want things to be in a certain way, which they will be, I imagine them to be, in the future, which is very different to how they are now. Now, of course, it's going to be different for different things in your life. Some things you might feel impatient about. Some things you might feel very good about. Some things you might feel like a long time about or very gluggish about and slothish about, right? And that's going to be your continuous assessment. That's going to be your process. Now, here's where we really get deep. Here's where this becomes an ultimate depth of the perception of time. And this is where you say, how long is it until you die? And if you notice your feeling, your relation to that, that is where you get to the rock bottom truth of it, right? Some of the common responses or sort of textbook responses to that might be, I don't want to die because I haven't achieved what I want to achieve. I don't want to die without experiencing what I have experienced, what I feel I deserve to have experienced, I wanted to experience. Or a better way of saying it is, I don't want to have died without discovering the life that I know is out there, that I know I should live for myself. And how do you feel about going after those things and getting those things, right? Is it a stress to sort of have those discoveries and achieve those things in the time that you have left, right? That's another sort of bigger version of this thing of, I'm feeling stressed because I'm running out of time. And really, there's a connection there, right? If you have some small project and you're like, I've only got 45 minutes left to finish this task, I need to hurry, I'm feeling stressed. That is the same correlation between I'm going to die and I haven't achieved these certain things. And I need to feel like, well, I'm making some progress on this. I need to actually feel, well, how you should feel is not, it's not like we're changing the feelings, right? Now, naturally, once you start to do this, you'll start to figure this out for yourself of how to feel. It's like, no, I shouldn't feel stressed about this. I should actually go about this in a productive way because the stress isn't serving me. So I could actually say, I could actually stand up here and say, when you're stressed, notice that you're stressed and don't feel stressed, right? That's sort of like the textbook ABC version of this. But that's not exactly accurate. That's not actually going to serve you too much. If you can do it that way, great, do it that way. The deeper level is, how do I feel with the relationship towards time? And by assessing this feeling and really observing this feeling, the natural feeling will come. The better feeling will come under its own accord. You can't cause feelings within yourself. You can't force a feeling. So that's why we work with it this way. Now, the other side of this ultimate realization of how do you feel about when you're going to die is, how long has it been since you've been born? How much has happened in your life since you've been born? How do you feel about the things you have already achieved? How do you feel about all the things you have already experienced? Now, that is a process. That is an ongoing thing. That is a self-assessment. And it is possible to live with a kind of richness, it's a kind of satisfaction, right? And when this really gets deep, it gets to gratitude. It really gets to the depths of being thankful for having been alive, for having been able to experience the things that you experienced. Now, of course, to achieve that, to arrive at that gratitude, you need to go back and assess, well, what is it that you've actually experienced? Is that experience real to you? Is that feeling that you have when you think about that experience real to you and something that you like? How do you feel about the events in your life? How do you feel about your life, right? That's really what it comes down to. One of the things you can use for this is what we were doing just earlier, which is non-location experiencing, or separating from the physical body. And that's where you actually go back and you imagine yourself in an experience, right? So you think about the experience, and then you visualize the experience, what it looked like, what were the colors, what were the shapes, what were the movements, and then you imagine yourself actually acting in that experience, and then you notice how you're feeling. And that's actually getting that experience back to you, right? It's coming back to your structure, your reality. It is part of your life. If you have lived something, then it can very easily come back to your life. It can really be something that, you recollect quite easily. So this is a deep subject. This is really just the beginning of it. We're really only getting started on this. But at least with those simple things, notice when you're looking at the clock, when you're looking at the date, and just imagine your little servant popping out of a cloud and ringing the bell and saying, "Master, how do you feel right now?" and say, okay, do I feel stressed? Do I feel like I'm in a hurry? Do I feel like it's taking too long? Do I feel relaxed? And just work with that. That's really the beginning with it. And then the deeper level is you do that as a meditation. You say, well, how long is it until you die? And of course, the opposite of that is how long is it since you've been alive? So there's a lot to this. We're going to have to go deeper on this. We'll probably expand on this quite a lot. So at least that's a start. At least that's a beginning.